What's going on, YouTube? Thank you for all the follows and subscribes, by the way. If you haven't already, smash that button. That's what the kids are saying. The following video contains massive spoilers for the new season of Sex and the City. So if you haven't already watched, and you are one who is so brunch inclined, watch the first 2 episodes and then watch this. It's just that simple. Boo.
Death is merely another stepping stone in the great sharp-edged, dark gray, dull-tile travertine paving on loose stone. The sharp edge is offering a nice contrast to the round, and at $4.69 per square foot, it's surprisingly affordable walkway of life. One which we all must walk along. It will always be the destination. So indeed it is the journey that matters, so let us not resist, but allow the wave of existence to carry us on to our ultimate, as all things must indeed pass. Because when we fuck around with the natural order of things, shit always goes sideways. And so it should not be a damn shocker to anyone living on this planet that we got a plague, tornadoes in December, and a goddamn Santa shortage here in 2021. When you keep dipping your damn hands into the sand from whence you were rendered by whatever you pray to, and then jiggle it around just to pry out some old shit, it fucks with the math, and you just keep jiggling, humans. So congrats! We're on this timeline now. A timeline with another Ghostbusters, Gossip Girl, Dexter, Cowboy Bebop, The Matrix, Family Matters, and they're bringing back the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This unchecked Lovecraftian desire to play God is literally shaking the ground, and yet it remains unstoppable, which has brought us to this moment. One that might finally snap the fabric of time and raise the deep ones to rule the earth once again. Sex and the City is back. Just like that. Those of you who survived since the 90s will remember a time when Monica Lewinsky was in the news, the Beastie Boys dropped Intergalactic, Toon Disney was on TV, and Half-Baked, The Big Lebowski, Basketball, Blade, Practical Magic, Pleasantville, and Ernest in the Army all graced the silver screen. 1998. In the summer of that year, Darren Star and Michael Patrick King's adaptation of Candace Bushnell's 1997 book Sex and the City premiered on HBO to the sound of poppin' Prosecco bottles and Manolos clacking down the street to catch a cab. The show followed the exciting rosé drunk adventures of Carrie Bradshaw, Charlotte York, Miranda Hobbs, and Samantha Jones as they navigated a waving dick field of penises in New York City, aka the city. It brought style tips to the Midwest and brunch into the mainstream. And like Friends before it, convinced an entire generation that they could afford a 1-bedroom with a walk-through closet and a bathroom and a full kitchen on the Upper East Side. The show ended its 94-episode over 6-season run in 2004, and then 2 movies, one in 2008, one in 2010. There were plans for a 3rd movie, but it was junked because Kim Cattrall, who played Miranda on the show... Haha, Samantha, I was just seeing if you were paying attention. Way to go, you passed the test. She passed because the plot freaked her out, and rightly so. It should have died on that day. A time capsule of a bygone era, frozen in amber, forever to be studied by the future for its lessons. And you all had to go and fuck around with it. So here we are, 2021. HBO has unearthed, thawed, and plugged Sex and the City into an apple ginger carrot flavored Mojave ghost scented saffron and chive colored extracorporeal membrane oxygenation machine. The lightning flashes, the power bill goes up, and with a crack of sinew and a puff of Glossier soothing facial mist, it stood up and walked around again in Hangisi pumps. Now, we're only 2 episodes in at this point in our timeline, but already a fuck ton has gone down. Be warned. Here there will be spoilers on the menu. So if you're trying to watch your weight, please plug your ears with your Bang & Olufsen BioPlay E8s and enjoy your glamour playlist. So, Yeah, all right, so nobody could afford that. That's hilarious. Threw that reference in there and I heard the whole room just go, what? Yeah, exactly. If you have to ask. But for real, I'm gonna spoil the fuck out of this. So like, if you don't wanna know, plug your ears. So, we're thrust, brunch first, back into the world of Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda with Samantha nowhere to be seen. They're having the standard midday croque madames and fries while complaining about the kids these days and going gray. The gang is all here, but they're now in their 50s, which I think they think means their 80s. Miranda's Steve has lost 60% of his hearing because he's, quote, old. Carrie cannot seem to get a handle on podcasts because I guess she's from the 60s. And Charlotte still dresses like a pre-World War I debutante. But where is Samantha? Where is the reason many who are now in their 40s would wait for their parents to go to bed so they could skip through all the hilarious cosmopolitan irony just to catch some hot, tan, buttered Kim Cattrall action? Well, don't you fret. There will be several lengthy conversations about that in this episode. Turns out she left and went to London and no one likes her anymore. But they do miss her. Meanwhile, on our timeline, it's because Kim Cattrall read the script and was like, pass. Speaking of timelines, it is very hard to tell where in time and space the new show is because everybody talks about what it was like back in the lockdown and yet not a mask to be seen. All the sets look like indoor Lido decks on the Starship Enterprise, so I just assumed this was the distant future and in space. Carrie and Big are still together, and they're going to go to the Hamptons, but plans have to be changed because Charlotte's daughter had a recital at the Manhattan School of Music. God, if I had a dime, right? Who hasn't been there? So they gotta wait all night. Meanwhile, Miranda is taking law courses, and she fucking Karens the fuck out of every conversation she has with a black and non-binary person. It's like watching a newborn fawn learn how to walk and then fall down a flight of stairs. Meanwhile, Carrie just can't seem to get her head around the sexual preferences of the kids these days because she's apparently 180 years old. And that is the big squeaky wheel on this Christina Million Rose Golden Blush Belgravian stroller and bassinet of a reboot. They all keep acting like 50s means old. Like at any moment, somebody's gonna ring the nurse for more Sanka. And just to be clear, Sarah Jessica Parker is 56, Kristen Davis is also 56, Cynthia Nixon is 55, and Kim Cattrall is not on the show. Where is she? I don't buy for a second that she's in London. She's somewhere with a beach and a 24-hour cocktail service. Should also be noted that Marissa Tomei is 57 and Aunt May knows what a fucking Kindle is. Anyway, Carrie heads to the recital while Mr. Big hits up his evening Peloton, only to hit it too hard, have a heart attack, and die on his way to the shower. This scene was so traumatic that Peloton's share actually dropped. Quote, due to confidentiality reasons, HBO did not disclose the larger context surrounding the scene to Peloton in advance, end quote, says Peloton spokesperson Denise Kelly. And you gotta figure, what a Gucci belt snap in the ass that had to be. Finding out that your company, which is already on the decline as people head back to the gym post-pandemic, was featured in a high-profile reboot only to have one of the main characters chew floor on it in the first fucking episode. When first contacted by BuzzFeed News, Kelly initially emailed them a statement from Suzanne Steinbaum, who's a cardiologist and member of their Health and Wellness Advisory Council, that said, quote, I'm sure Sex and the City fans like me are saddened by the news that Mr. Big dies from a heart attack. Mr. Big lived what many would call an extravagant lifestyle, including cocktails, cigars, and big steaks. He was at serious risk and had previous cardiac events in season 6. These lifestyle choices and perhaps even his family history, which is a significant factor, were likely the cause of his death. Riding his Peloton bike may have helped delay this cardiac event, end quote. And then, bam, cut to black with Carrie voiceover stating, and just like that, in the end, it seems it was the city that finally won. Just to recap, this was episode 1. I was too exhausted to fully pay attention to episode 2, but it was a funeral episode, which I kind of figured would have been a funnier way to start the show. Like, skip all the backstory and just cut right to the funeral, but keep the music. Like, they're complaining about the service and the decor, but it's a fucking funeral. But hey, nobody ever asked me what I thought about the reboot of Sex and the City. I figured I'd just mention it because humans are getting reckless in a dangerous timeline. I'm not saying all of these end day events we're witnessing are directly because you keep trying to resurrect the dead, but like, it's probably not related. Should have let the show stay dead because apparently you didn't understand how aging works anyway. You keep fucking with the timeline and we're gonna get a reboot of something you don't want, like polio or megalodons or fucking Reaganomics. I don't know. My brain is still drunk from all the white chocolate dip brandy cordials it thinks it ate after watching the first 2 episodes of this latest Frankenstein effort from you humans. Thanks a lot. Also, I will be having people over next week for an episode 3 viewing party because after all the weird energy while Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte talked about Samantha, I'm calling it now, they fucking killed her. And they buried her in the fescue in the Hamptons. Anyway, nobody asked, but I'm here to tell you, and just like that, Sex and the City is back from the dead. What a weird-ass time to be alive. I love you. Good night.
Chad the Bird.